traders, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, plus traders. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Welcome to Wall Street's favorite game show called Sell That Rip. So, this game show, obviously, we get to decide on which point we like to sell the rip in Wall Street today. We don't know, but we did get some CPI to help us out. We've got a lot of contestants here to play with us from all around the world. We got CJ on buzzer number one. We got Adam, good morning to Alex, Bill, Brian, Christopher, Cindy. We got D, good morning to Doug. Gina's in the house. We got Greg, Jay, Joe, John, JT, Kevin, Lauren. We got LW, Martina. We got Natasha. Good morning to Nelson, Pete, Raj. Good morning. We got Richard Jet, Sean Bell, Wally. Good morning to everybody out there in YouTube land. We got Daniel. We got Michael B. We got contestants from all around the world. So let's take a look real quick at the board that we are playing on today. We got CPI coming in line, causing a little confusion. Nice little gap up, run into it from the night before. So it's going to make selling the rip very difficult today. We're going to see where that comes in, but we got VPOC a little bit higher, at least for now. But is it going to be a sell the rip type of day? We don't know. We had pre-mark. This is let me roll into the CPI report. So CPI came in around 8:30. They showed us a little early sign of sell that rip. We're not sure, but we have we spiked up on it. It wasn't bad. It came in with pretty much month over month was exactly as expectations. Year over year was a little bit of year over year was a little bit of a small little beat. So it came in sadly lighter, which is good for the markets. And we are definitely into an interesting spot, but man, they played this game perfectly and they did sell the rip. We started to rally back. We are gapping up from yesterday, which is interesting because watch the end of the day. All of that selling came in very strong when it looked like we were having some kind of bounce. It did give us a little bit of a higher low from yesterday. So that means there is some bullishness to this market and what could cause that spot to have a double bottom. Let's go into the main board. We'll try to find out. Let's see if we could get a little Fibonacci. We'll throw a little Fibonacci on here. So if this is the point, this rally really started, this wave, and we get this pullback. Very curious. Curiosity kills the cat, but 618 is the bounce spot so far with decent volume coming from yesterday. And if we're going to play sell the rip, I think we gotta start coming in soon. So I got two spots on here, 449.36. That looks like an interesting spot to get held up from some resistance. And I've got one more right here, 449.73. This is a gap and go on the SPY for right this second. We're gonna have to battle some of those VPOCs. We're going to have to, if we do not sell the rip today, probably get a little bit of momentum past some of those moving averages and into this 450.71 range would be the next target for me on the SPY. If this starts to break and starts to hold, then I think the game show is canceled and we go to buy the dip game show. We'll see. Otherwise, then we start looking at higher targets, 452. We're looking at 454. But so far, all of these moves, and even when CPI came out, has been a little sell the dip. So is inflation a little bit lower or the same? Inflation is down. Yes, so inflation is down for now. For now. We'll see a little bit of longer term. I mean, there's a whole bunch of mess with wheat going on, and there's a whole bunch of everything still happening. But for now, yeah. And again, CPI is lagging too, so keep that in mind. But we could only go off the information, and then there's a whole different camp of people that say it's all rigged and they don't believe the numbers anyway. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? All we can really do is trade off the numbers we get, whether they're real, not, or true or absurd. We have no clue, but that's the numbers we got, and they are saying inflation is down a little bit, so that's going to be a little bit more bullish. And keep in mind that will help because that will help with Jerome Powell because now he's got a little bit more. He doesn't have to probably raise rates exactly that quick again, he might just be able to lay off or just cruise him out for a little bit longer until he gets down to what he says is his target inflation. And that one is going to be, he's trying to get obviously the terminal rate to be 2%. Whether he honestly believes that, I mean, historically, we're not at 2%. So looking at Yeti, Lauren wants to take a look at Pepsi, Nike. They're trying to find some good companies to sell that rip. Let's see if we got Pepsi first one that I saw. Let's see if this is a sell the rip or buy the dip candidate. So this is a nice, pretty nice high wave candle. We are gapping above it. It is slightly to the green side, so technically that would be a retest. Where's the volume coming in on this thing? Not really too crazy volume on any of these moves on the way down. But I don't really see anything in the way for this thing to continue. What I would like to see is this thing come down for the retest, 184.62, and then I think if we could get, I'm trying to see if there's any other level of support as to why it wouldn't. Yeah, I'd say probably so. If we could get a little bit of a pullback on Pepsi, 184.67. To the higher side here, I think we do have a little bit of room. 185.78, I think, would be my first target, or at least piece some of that trade off. And then maybe we could look for a bigger target of 186.89. I don't think that one happens today. We would have to battle through a lot of moving averages to get there. It is also Pepsi, so it's not too exciting. I think the high of the day probably takes us to 186.31 if we could get there. But the only way to increase my risk reward in this trade would be to let this thing fall. I don't think Pepsi's going to scream out of this candle. If Pepsi starts screaming out of this candle, then yeah, we're probably off to the races. But for Pepsi, I just can't see that. So I'd have to wait for a little bit of a pullback first. We got Nike. Haley in YouTube land says, "Hey Dan, any candidates for the 10 EMA strategy this morning in your searches?" I'm gonna put a big question mark next to that because we don't know yet. 10 EMA, the true 10 EMA strategy is only off of a 3-minute chart. So all of the ones that are gapping, which is the ones that people are probably throwing into any of the chat panes now, they're all going to be candidates for the 10 EMA, right? So the rule number one is it has to be gapping outside for the 10 EMA strategy. It has to be for a play at the open. It has to be gapping outside of yesterday's range. So any of these gap plays, so Pepsi would qualify, Nike would qualify, but then we'd have to obviously wait for the 3-minute 10 EMA to come in, and we'd have to see for the live candles that open. So the only other thing you could do is if you're a swing trader, you're looking at the daily candles, and then you can see if there's, for instance, I believe this one technically right here would be a 10 EMA on a swing trade, but you're also in some chop. But this would be your first little red candle, so your entry probably would have been 110.11, most likely got skipped, and you're probably waiting to see if this thing pulls back, which this thing can pull back. It's got a potential to pull back. We're just sitting. We should play a new game show. Where's that pen? There it is. All right. I got this one up here. We are still in this little channel, right? So on Nike, just kind of going back and forth, building a little pressure. We had a little push up run into it. So it could break out, and that could happen. Right now, it does look like we're at the higher end of that channel. Very good candidate for sell the rip up here. Or, yep, sell the rip. But we are above all the other VPOCs. I'm watching this level very closely. So even a mini pullback could be helpful. We got some resistance coming here. And I think I would think if we could start to get above and get a good close above probably 110.73, then we have a lot of room on this one to about 113.14 with little hiccups in the way. Probably take some partials, something like that, 111.78. And is Nike going to have a day like this? I don't know. That I'm not sure, but that would be my target, 112.98. I think, again, more of a swing, beautiful looking double bottom consolidation. And we probably have to come in at some point to retest this 112.98, 113, somewhere in that zone. Is today the day? Not sure. We are going to have a moving average ahead of it, and probably a little bit of resistance. At least on the we are showing that we are in a little bit of a TTM squeeze on TradingView. At least I'd have to check Thinkorswim out, but let's move Nike up there. We'll see if Nike can get a little wind beneath its wings. If that wants to continue, it is a good looking hammer. It is technically a gap and go. I hate that we're in this little bit of a little resistance ahead of us, but so far, I think the best one yet. Sebastian, what's up, buddy? Interesting that gold exploded higher. Hiya. Take a look at Nvidia. Good morning to Rock. Nvidia still feeling the pain of yesterday. Let me take off all of these moves. We had a nice little win on Nvidia yesterday. Could have captured more, but that's usually always the case. We did a 618 retracement on the SPY. I think that would only be fair if we did this one on Nvidia as well. Let's be fair to Nvidia. That was a pretty big breakdown candle. We exploded through that 618. Oof. That's kind of gross. And I think it would be hard for the market to rip without some of these big names continuously doing it. So now I'm like, I've got no choice but to go back further on those. So the next spot probably about 415.06. We're still, so like this one, Haley, this would not technically count as a 10 EMA until when it opens, it would have to break the range. So right now we're still in yesterday's range by like a few pennies. We're still like right there. But yeah, to the downside, this thing could come down a little bit further. My next stop really. So now I'd be looking at resistance somewhere probably up at this 428.01. Oh, this is a good candidate for sell the rip. Yep. So I can't do too much. That's a big candle right there. We are technically at the lows. This is a spot we could get some kind of a balance. We have some kind of support. I would actually have to say I think this one probably gets a bullish bounce first. I would like to see a bullish bounce first, and maybe we could run it up to 428, and that gives us some room to the downside first. But we are starting to hit some kind of support. Otherwise, yeah, I can't buy. I wouldn't buy the dip on this one. Not yet. Not after that candle. And most likely what happens is, again, maybe a little bit of a bullish day. We hang out in here, hang out, and then I think we could break down a little bit further at this point. And then maybe sometime in the future. It's up a lot still. This thing still has to come down. One of the most resilient stocks. All right. Do we look at the Qs? No, we actually skipped that one today. Let's take a look at it. The Qs gapping up, not as impressive. I'll have to go back to the SPY just to see if we pull back at all on the SPY, but the SPY was at least above this candle when we looked. Let me see if this one SPY is starting to pull back a little bit, but this SPY at least was above this candle. Right now we're still inside yesterday's range. It is a nice little gap and go. Let's break down these smaller time frames. We'll go to a 15-minute. Again, we got VPOC moving northbound, so that's decent. Probably we're probably going to have some kind of support on this thing at 370.43. You do have the same double bottom. We sold off yesterday. This gap, anybody in this selling that's like, this market is cranking lower, there's no way I'm going to start shorting, and they felt very good at the very end of the day. Any of those guys from that pivot is trapped. So let's see if we come back to that pivot. That could help some people get out of this trade. But yeah, somewhere around 370.40 would be a good buy spot, unless we're just going to freak everybody out and they sell right at the open. So I would play this one two ways if you guys do want to play the Qs. One would be see if we could get this pullback into this 370.40 zone. The other one, if it does not want to pull back, if it's going to be stubborn, you want to try it. Well, you could be buying it right here as well, 371.46 ish. that's not a bad location. At least you have the VPOC for support, and then targets on this one probably up into like this 372.80 zone. And that could be a quick move. Again, I don't know if we break through there or not, but that's the next little resistance on it. So yeah, it is gap and go. You're gonna want to lean probably a little bit more bullish, at least for now. You're probably gonna want to lean a little more bullish than bearish today. You have a couple notable spots. Yep, 373.97 is really the next VPOC. So can we get there? I do got one miniature one over there. I don't think that's going to matter as much since we've already danced around that one for a little bit. So yeah, to the high side, I think 373, I'll go 84. But again, I'm not sure if Q's want to play sell that rip. Let's take a look real quick at Disney. So they're gapping up on just okay earnings. I mean, they weren't great. The cruise ship's starting to come back a little bit, so there's some interesting spots there. I think you have they're raising the price on Disney Plus. I didn't know there was such a high demand for it, but Disney Plus is going up, which I don't think I don't think the amount of content, the amount of new shows on Disney Plus is really there yet, right? I don't think it's there yet. They do have a lot of content and it's a lot of old stuff. They're putting out some new stuff. But you're gonna raise the price on that. The other thing is, and I've mentioned this a few times, Disney does have the moat. There is some Disney diehard fans that they're like, okay, Disney wants $13.99 from me. I'll give them $13.99 a month. And I think you're gonna have actually a lot. I think Disney has the ability to raise prices. And I'm sure you're going to get some cancellations and things like that, but I think Disney has the ability more than Netflix to raise pricing. Especially at this stage of the streaming. So Netflix is a little bit more mature in streaming at this point. So I think that will add to the balance sheet. I still like it. Like I said, I still got some sold puts. I got some shares, but this one does look like a gap and go. So even yesterday, gap up, even though we sold down, technically there was bullish sentiment. We just had profit taking. I will have to watch Disney for continuation. I think if we could get to this $90.50 handle, I think that would be probably where the resistance comes in. And if we're able to break it, Disney can have an interestingly good day. But for right now, we might get about $1.10 to the upside. See if we could get maybe some profit taking. We just had earnings. There's some volatility around it. And if the closer we could get, I think, to this 88.90 zone, the happier I'd be. But yeah, I think we could get a little bit more bullishness out of Disney today. We'll see. Baba also reported they increased revenue by 14%. So again, relatively decent, but it could not get them out of this $100 range. It could not get them to, I think we got up to pre-market $99 and change, something like that on the little pop. Oh, we got exactly to the 100 and we sold that rip. So far, Baba's winning the sell the rip game. Making now, even from CPI where that came out, we've been making lower highs at this point, but we go back to the daily chart. And I think we're still range bound on Baba. We're at one little resistance. If we could break out of this 98.07, so I would love to see this thing open a little bit higher. If it's going to open here, I'd wait for the retest. But if it does open a little bit higher than, let's go even 98.14, that at least gives us a little bit of room to $100. And you get about $1.70, $1.80, something like that to the upside with, I mean, if we start breaking maybe $100.92, something like that. But that is a interesting looking gap. They did have the earnings. They got some volatility around them. That might be a good one to watch for today. Man, you guys are throwing in some light tickers today. Not a lot of tickers coming in. Harold says, buy the dip on PayPal. I am for the long term, though. So be careful when you ask questions. Make sure you know what time frame the person is answering the question in. I am buying the dip on PayPal long term. When I say long term, I'm not selling it for 10 years. I still like PayPal. I like things that are good companies that are down in the dumps. I am also buying the dips on Disney. So those two companies have really been the last 2 months kind of focusing on. PayPal I was able to buy here before. And I did sell it out up here just because it was just too massive. And I was like, it wasn't a big enough position yet. I rebought down here and I added for this month down here as well. So I do have some PayPal for the long term. For today, though, I don't know on the day trade yet if it's going to wake up. So by that, I mean, you got 62.93. So a little bit of resistance in here, probably a tight trading range. Out of everything, you're still inside day from yesterday. So that could add a little bit of extra chop at the open. I will be watching it, though. I mean, nothing about this says strength yet. That's a pretty disastrous gap down. I've got some soul puts on this one, too. So if they want to fill, great. They're running out of time, though. So they got to get down to, I think my strike price is $60. So, I mean, honestly, by the end of today, one bad day that I could be in the money on those. And I'm okay buying at 60. I've got no problems with that either. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think PayPal today for a day trade basis could be a little tough. Here it says just confused about the high and low rule from the beginning. So the way I play it, and there's another one too where if it starts to, like, if it's still a gap up, technically qualified. The way I play, just to keep it simple on the 10 EMA, Haley, is I'm looking for, and I think it helps, even just back trading and me playing the 10 EMA for an entire year last year. I like something that gaps up completely from that candle. Otherwise, yeah, it's a momentum play, so it's better to wait on the 10 EMA for usually about an hour, let some volatility crush out, wait for some things to be absolutely pushed horrendously in one direction or the other, and now you're taking kind of momentum in the other way. So that's my favorite way to use it. If like PayPal, I would not use it. I would not be going 10 EMA on PayPal today, unless it's like about an hour from now, and then I consider it. We got Wally wants to take a look at Tesla. Here's another one that just got some more continued beat down from yesterday. That's going to be an interesting spot for location. We are gapping up, still inside day. We're above yesterday's VPOC, which makes that interesting. I've got a couple others. I got one other right above us, 245.49. So if you can see, there's two right in there, right in that range. So we have a little bit more bullish sentiment at open. I think that was a horribly weak close. I think this is a contender for sell the rip. Would love to see it come up a little bit higher. So I would like to see something, see how it interacts with, if we could get to like 246.63. And then on a really good day, I think even if you want to go bullish, I've got nothing on this one for right now. I got no sentiment. Technically this morning, yeah, a little bit more bullish, but so is the rest of the market. If the market starts to slip at all, that's not going to be a good look for Tesla. And I don't think Tesla's going to be able to hold this 244.80 zone. So I would have to lean at open a little bit more to the bullish side, although I think we get some kind of chop, and that could be a very quick bullish side. Watch what happens at 246.63, and then if it does really want to start to pick up a little bit, I think we're going to start maxing out at 248.32. But I can't imagine anybody looking at the Tesla chart today and like the last few days and say, okay, yeah, I really want to go bullish on Tesla right now. Maybe some bottom fishers, like, hey, this could be something that holds, and risk to reward, you might get it. You know where your stops are. In worst case, you should know where your stops are. If you're trying anything long, then just your goal is to buy it as low as possible. Your stop is going to be somewhere around 240.54. And if this kind of double bottom breaks down, then at least you have a good risk to reward play on Tesla if you want to lean bullish. Let's see. We got Roblox. Nobody's playing Roblox no more. Let's see. So again, a little bit of a gap up, disastrous down day, just still inside of yesterday's candle. Again, that's a lot of selling. We probably have to rest from that selling. I don't think this thing just rallies and breaks this 3260 zone. Not today. I don't think we're getting above this candle. We are above yesterday's VPOC, but that is extremely low. I think this is a good candidate for sell the rip. So I think any of these rips still, they will probably end up being sold. I would almost have to take a fib just on this candle, maybe. Just on this one candle, see what that 618 is for the day from yesterday. Yeah, the 50% retracement somewhere around 30.84. Give yourself, I think, a little bit better of a risk reward play at bearish 31.25 if it gets there. So I would like to see this thing come up a little bit higher. 618 of this candle. If I can get in somewhere around 31.25. In fact, what I'll do is I'll set I'll set the alarm just slightly before it. And then if my alarm goes off throughout the day, I'll say why. And then I'll look and I'll be like, okay. Because then I could put a stop probably somewhere at the high of the day and then just try to play the fade. But I think we stay inside day for today. We probably chop around again, kind of like almost, let's go back to that PayPal. Let's go back to that PayPal candle real quick. There's your disaster day. This one a little bit different. We didn't even open the next day above the VPOC. So we at least have that for Roblox. But we just kind of even hung out in the zone. A lot of these big gaps down, you'll see like the next day or two just chill out and then start to make its next move lower. All right. We looked at NVIDIA. Nothing else crazy out there. Natasha says, what is CPI? That is the measure of inflation. I don't think Jerome Powell is talking today. Nothing like that. I'm trying to see if there's any news coming out that we got to watch for. I don't see anything. Boeing. And again, if we do gap up and we want to run, maybe some of these stocks that like a Boeing could be very interesting today. There's a little bit of resistance up there, but some of these companies that had strength, like this candle, beautiful gap up, looks good. Google might be one. They had some really good candles after earnings as well. That one's gapping up. This one's got a little bit of resistance ahead of us. But try if the market does want to go, I would probably stay away from some of the companies that have been getting killed if you want to take bullish. So just because something's down a lot doesn't mean it has to come back right away. But if you got a company with bullish momentum on your side today, from the earnings, something that people are still positive on, those might be plays to look for to capture some quick momentum. Penn still kind of fading down. Didn't quite hit that retest yet. Probably not worth the trade. Twilio got absolutely no. Well, Twilio had a nice gap up and gave it all back. So there's a little bit of a retest. A lot of bit of a retest. Closed kind of to the weak side. Only thing we have today is we got a treasury budget at 2 p.m. I don't know how that's going to affect the markets though today. But yep, that will come out later. You might see a little volatility around 2, but I don't think that's going to make or break the market. But the market's done crazy things and responded to different things. So I mean, who knows? Here's an interesting gap on Datadog actually. We might be able to get to like 91.33. I'm going to move Datadog up a little bit. Nice little resting candle yesterday. And I will see if that one could break. But it is 9:30 a.m. in the morning. And that is the sound of the opening bell. So everybody out there, YouTube land, I do appreciate you joining us each and every day. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button if you guys have not done so already. Otherwise, be safe out there in the market. I do expect a little bit of a chop. And we'll see if we could finally shake off this buy or sell the rip mentality in the market, being that the SPY is at the 618. But it usually gets a little choppy before we start to course correct. And if we do want to go bullish, we probably see a little bit more chop before we do so. We will see. Otherwise, you guys are absolutely incredible. I'll catch you guys.